Okay, today we're going to be doing the guided program development in Chapter 7. For this, you're going to need the Visual Studio, the full program. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to download a full version trial from the webpage. There's a link in the announcements. You can download any of the full version trials, or if you want to keep a copy for yourself, you can buy from JourneyEd. You can buy a full version. There's some cheaper copies if you want. They're about $100 or so from JourneyEd. You do not have to buy a copy. You can use the trials. So if you want to do that, you can. You're not required to buy. Again, you're not required to buy. You can use the trial version. Go to your Start menu, type Visual Studio. You can see here I've got Visual Studio and Visual Basic Express. The Express won't work. You have to use the full version of the Visual Studio. I have the Ultimate. You can see it's for evaluation purposes. That's because I'm using the trial, not the full version, or not the buy version. I'm using the trial version. We're going to be using the web applications. For this, go ahead and start a new project. Up here, Net Framework 4 is what we're using. I have web application because I'm using the Ultimate version just because I want to play around with some of the more advanced features. I have 3 lines down here. You may just have 1. If you're using one of the smaller versions, that's fine. If you just have 1, that's fine. Type Mystic. I'm saving it to the same location where I save everything else. If you don't see web application, or it might just say, website. Either one is fine. Either one is correct. Click web if you don't see either one. So it's either web application or website. Click OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to open up your web page that you need. Okay, it's going to say default up here. We don't want to start with default. Go ahead and leave this open because that's what you're going to need eventually, but you don't want to start in the default. We want to start with the site master because this site master is what we're going to be working with. Initially, what that's going to do is it's going to keep the same look through all the pages. So double click on site master. Go ahead and highlight this My ASP.NET application. Okay, we're going to start by changing this to Mystic Bed and Breakfast. Okay, we're going to go up here. This is our format menu. If you don't have the format open, then what you need to do is go to View. Okay, you're going to go down to Toolbars and you're going to choose Formatting. Okay, that's going to get your formatting menu open. You're going to use that for a lot of things, so you want to go ahead and get that open. Okay, we're going to pull this down. You can just start typing Lucida. That's going to pull that up for you so you can just find it really quickly. Okay, we're going to do Lucida Calligraphy. Oops, I unhighlighted it. Okay, again, Lucida and Lucida Calligraphy. And then over here where it says 2EM, we're going to do extra, extra large. Okay, and then over here where it says Home and About, we don't want an About page. We actually want a Reservations page. So we're going to click that. Where it says Edit Menu Items, we want to change that. This looks more like the Properties menu that we're used to. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click About. We're going to try, we're going to find the Text Properties. We're going to change that to Reservations. We're going to change that to OK. Okay, now it should say Mystic Bed and Breakfast Reservations. Okay, this is what we want this is going to be what all of the pages look like now. Okay, now this is our site master. Anything that you put on this page is going to be on every single page in your site. Okay, so anything that you change on this page is going to go on every page. So we don't want what we're going to do next on every page. So we want to go back to our default page. Don't worry about that this looks like this, okay, if you play it, or if you debug it. You can see that, now it fixes it. See, it's going to pull up the web page. This is what our web page is going to look like. You can see that it's going to show the changes that we made. Sometimes they don't transfer right away, but don't worry about it. It's there. See, it says Home, Reservations, Mystic Bed and Breakfast. So you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be there. So don't freak out if you don't see it right away. It's there. Okay. All right. The first thing that we want to do is we want to get rid of all this stuff under the main content. So just go ahead and delete that. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to put an image object in here. Okay, right there. Just drag it. Then what we want to do is we want to change the, we're going to change the name of this. And it's not called name here, it's called ID. We're going to change it to Pick Mystic. And then we're going to go down, we're going to change the size. Now the size is not called size here. We have a width and we have a height. So our width on this is going to be 175, and our height is going to be 150. Height is going to be 150. And we're actually going to pull this image from the website. So that's going to be http:// and then it's on page 521 of your book. And it's scc.com/VB2010/chapter7/images/bb.jpg. And again, if it doesn't show up right away, don't worry, it's going to show up here in just a minute. Actually, it shouldn't be an X. So if it's an X, go back and check and make sure that you've got everything in there correctly. And you see it says HTTP. So if it's an X, you've got a problem. Okay, then the next thing that we want to do is we want to put some text in there. So go click next to the thing, next to the image. And we're going to do this in all caps. And we're going to change this to "Welcome to the oldest lighthouse bed and breakfast." Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that. We're going to change it to extra, extra large. And it helps if I can... Nope, we're going to change it just to extra large, sorry. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to change our style on this. So we're going to go to the style, click on that little ellipsis, and it brings a dialog box up. We're going to change our block. We're going to change the vertical alignment on this to the top. And then click OK. And that should move it to the top of your page. And then we're just going to go over to the end. Click your Enter 3 times. Okay, then we're going to change the size of our font to medium. I hate when that happens. If it does weird things like that, just go and change it back to extra large. Okay, and don't worry about it. Just go ahead and start typing, and then we can fix it later. High atop a cliff. Go ahead and start typing it. And then just go in and select the part that you started typing, and then click medium. And there, see, that'll fix it. Sometimes it gets a little quirky, and you just gotta work with it. So high atop a cliff, jutting into the clear, deep waters of Mystic Harbor. The Mystic. This is so poetic, right? The Mystic Lighthouse beckons families in search of secluded in search of a secluded. I can't type really fast, really well. This is on page 522 of your text. Retreat from modern life. This unique bed and breakfast inn is one of the few surviving resident lighthouses in the country and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Okay, so once you get that all typed, then we're done with that page. So then the next thing you want to do is we want to go to the About page. So we're going to double click on that, and reservations. Once, if you remember, we changed that reservations to About, so that's or that About to reservations. So you're going to double click on that because that's your reservations page. And we're going to go and we're going to delete that text there. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert a table. So we're going to go up to the top and we're going to click Table, Insert Table. And we're going to change that to 7 columns and 3 columns. And we're going to click OK. We're going to change this first column to 150. 150, like so. We're going to change the second column to 250. 250, like so. Okay, and then in these columns, in this first column, we're going to type our first information. So the first row has name, then email address, and then our third row has suite selection. Okay, and then we're going to skip 2 rows and we're going to type nights. And then in the next one, we're going to type check-in date. Okay, and then up in this next one, we're going to drag a text box. And we're going to make that 250. 250. And we're going to name that text name. And then we're going to do another text box here. And we're going to do that same thing here. And we're going to name that. And notice this is ID instead of name. And we're going to call that text email. Okay, now for the suite selections, we're going to name these. Now these are weird because they're kind of like radio buttons. Before, remember when on the other one we had to do check boxes and then we had to do labels next to them. These actually have kind of labels that are part of their properties. So we're going to do check boxes. And this one is, the first one is going to be check serenity. Oops, check serenity, and we're going to go down, and this has a text property associated with it, so we're going to call this Serenity Suite, and it gets it's $220. And then the next one gets a checkbox as well, so it goes next to it. And this is check evergreen. And it's got a text property, and it's, oops, I can spell, evergreen suite, and it is $170. And then the third one, and it's a checkbox as well, and it is check Vineland, and it's the Vineland suite, and it is $155. Oops, gosh darn, Vineland suite, and it's $155. Okay, and then for the nights, what we're going to do is we're going to do a drop-down list. So we're going to pull that right there. And it gets an ID. Oops. And we're going to call it drop down list nights, and we're going to edit our items here, and we add, and it's got text too, and so the first one is going to be 1, and then 2, because they can stay up to 7 nights, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7. And then you notice you've got this last list item. We can just remove that, and okay. And then for the last one, we're going to add a calendar item. Just going to plop that down right there. We're going to auto format it. And we're going to make it colorful too. And we're going to give it a name. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is we need to validate some of these. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just going to close this standard for now. We're going to validate some of our things. So we're going to do the required field validator first for the name. So we're just going to give it a name. Oops, I hate when I do that. Okay, so we're going to do RFV name. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it an error message. And we're just going to put name required. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the control to validate, and we're going to do the name. Okay, so the name is required. And then we're going to do the email, the same thing. And the error message. And I'm going to put email address required. RFV email. Okay, and then we're going to do a regular expression validator. Okay, and that's going to do that next to the email. All right. And I'm going to do REV email. Oops, did I do the... We need to do the control to validate, and we need to do email. Forgot to do that. Okay, and then we need to do control to validate here, and that's email. And we need to do our email address, and then I'm going to put invalid email address. And then for this one, we need to do we need to tell it how to validate the email. Okay, so we go to validation expression, and we click this ellipsis, and we pull this up, and then all we need to do is we need to choose internet email address. And what that does is it tells it it's looking for an email address. Okay, so then we're going to close up this validation, and then we're going to go back to the standard, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull down and we're going to grab a label, and we're going to just stick it right next to the Serenity Suite. Okay, and the text on this one is we're going to do, this one we're just doing regular labels. Okay, and I'm going to put select a suite. And for the label, I'm going to call it, what did they call it? They put label suite error. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go down here, and we're going to set the visible to false. Okay, so it's not going to show unless somebody doesn't put the actual suite in there. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a button. Okay, so we're going to put that in there, and we're going to call this one button submit. And we're going to change the text property to submit. And then we're just going to hit the enter key until it goes all the way to the top of that square. Okay, next we're going to add a calendar warning error. So that's just going to be another label, just a plain label. We're going to put it underneath the submit button. Okay, and this one we're going to call label calendar error. And in the text property, we are going to type, select a valid date, and then click submit. Okay, and then we're going to add a result label. And we're going to call this one label reservation. And we're just going to delete the text property on this one. Okay, so once we've done that, we're ready to code the application. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to double click on the submit button to pull up our code. Okay, and actually we can get rid of this one right here. We don't need that. We're not going to use it, so it's no big deal. And we're going to go down here, and we're going to go up here, and we're going to start adding our general information. And I'm going to put bed and breakfast online reservation form. And the author is me, although you will put your own name, of course. And the date is, you just put whatever today's date is. And your purpose is the following web application will request reservation information. Don't forget your hash mark for the Mystic bed and breakfast. This website will compute the cost of the number of nights and rooms selected. Okay, turn your options strict on. Okay. Then we go down here and we start coding. Okay, start with your comments. Calculate the cost of the room based on the type of suite selected and the number of nights reserved. Okay, then we start our declarations. Okay, first we have our rooms. Okay, our Serenity room is $220. Our Evergreen Suite is $170. Oops, not $1,700. And we need our equals. Our Vineland is $155. Okay, then our strings okay, then our variables to hold calculations. Okay, and then what we do with this one is we declare this one. We go ahead and initialize that one just in case we have to, in case there are errors made and we don't ever get through our calculations. Okay, so those are all our declarations. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a command called trim, and trim just takes off if there's any additional spaces. And this will just make our output look nicer. Okay, what we're doing here is we're seeing if they've selected any of the checkboxes for the suites. If they haven't, then what we're going to do is we're going to make that error that we created visible so that they can see that they haven't selected any of those, that they haven't selected a suite and they need to select a suite. Okay, what we're doing here is we're seeing if the date they selected for arriving is before today. Then what we need to do is we need to make that error for the calendar true. Okay, then we're saying if the calendar date is valid, then we need to make the calendar error false, and we need to calculate the cost of the rooms selected by the user. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we're going to figure out which room they selected. Okay, so if they if the serenity is checked, then what we're going to do is we're going to assign the value of the serenity cost to the room cost. If, and then we're going to have to do this for each of the rooms. Okay, so if they did the serenity, then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the decimal room cost, the equals the serenity room cost. If the Vineland is checked, then the decimal room cost equals the Vineland room cost. Okay, so we had to do that for each one of those. Okay. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to find out how many nights they want to stay. So what we need to do is we need to convert from that drop-down menu Okay, so we're taking that text value, and now what we're doing is we're calculating that room cost, and we're saying that room cost equals whatever that int number of nights is times whatever we decided that room cost was. So whatever we figured out up here, the room cost, whether it was the Serenity room cost. Oops, I did Serenity twice, didn't I? So Serenity was first, then Evergreen. Good thing I caught that. Okay, so we got Serenity, then Evergreen, then Environment. So whichever one. So whether it was Serenity or Evergreen or Vineland, so we're doing that is going to equal the room cost. Okay? Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is we need to output that value to a message. Okay, because remember we need to tell them now what they reserved. Okay, so we're going to say a reservation has been made for. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to concatenate, and we're going to add a break. Okay, and what that is that's like a return. Okay, and now we're going to say it's for, and we're going to enter the whoever the person was. Okay, and then we're going to concatenate, and now we're going to put another break, which is like a return. And then we're going to put their email. Well, this isn't their email. We're going to say the email is. And then we're going to concatenate. And then we're going to put in whatever they put for their email. Oops. I didn't want to put the quotes there. That's what I like about those color coding. We can tell that we accidentally put quotes around it. And then we're going to put another break. Okay, so again, that's like a return there. Okay, now I'm starting a new message here. Okay, and we're concatenating. The room's cost is, and then I'm concatenating. Okay, now I'm to string because remember you can't do a message. Okay, concatenating again. Okay, I've got a problem here. So you need to figure out what you did. Okay. It doesn't like that decimal room cost. Okay, sometimes if you pull it up to the previous line. Oh, because oh no, I've got a ampersand. Okay, see, I put it when I brought it up to the other line. Oh no, it's still giving me an error. Oh, it's decimal ROM cost. That was my problem. I spelled decimal room cost as wrong. That's why. Okay. So now I can do my space, underscore, and put it to the others. That was my problem. Okay, so if you spelled something wrong, you need to make sure that it's right everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fix this. Decimal, I'm going to fix it here. Oops, I'm going to fix it here. There you go. You can do quick replace there too. Alright, see? Okay, so I fixed it. Okay, so decimal room cost is string. Where was I? And break. And then we're going to do string message. Arrival date. And we're going to concatenate. And we're going to do another break. For Oops, I missed a line. Oh, I missed a line. Arrival date, ampersand, and we're gonna do the arrival date, calendar, arrival, select a date, to short date string, and then we're going to concatenate that with, and we're going to do another break. Ampersand, put some white space here. Oops. For ampersand, and we're going to do int number of nights and nights. And then this else is from way up above. Label calendar error dot visible true. And that was just if you made an error. That's from way before. And then end if, and sub. Okay, now we're done with our coding. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run it and see if it works. So cross your fingers. We're going to run. Okay, now first of all, making sure that all your changes are good here. Go back to your home page. See if that looks good. It does. Make sure you check. I've got some spelling errors here. Make sure you check for your spelling errors. Okay. I do have some spelling errors, so you want to make sure you go back and check those. Okay, so Bob. Well, actually, make sure, test your errors first. Okay, so we're going to submit. This is wrong. See, look. Error. Name required, email address required. So Bob, submit. Okay, Bob, submit. Invalid email address, bob at bob.com. Submit. Select a suite. So do that. Submit. Select a valid date. Submit. 10. Submit. Okay. 18. Submit. A reservation has been made for Bob. Email bob at bob.com. The room is 220 for 10, 18, 21. And then select for a different number of nights. Maybe select a different room. Submit. Okay. You want to do your math. That math is wrong. 1,170 nights. 3 times. Oh, because I have 2. That's why. So submit. Yeah, so that's right. Okay, so that is right. So check that. This is wrong. I think probably check this. This is because see visible is true. That should be false. Go back home. Or go back to not if you don't do home. Go back to default. Families. Check your spelling. High atop a cliff jutting into a clear deep waters, Mystic Harbor. The Mystic Light has begged search to retreat. And you can check your spelling. You know, I don't even know how to check spelling in here. I don't even know how to check spelling. Somebody figure that out. There's my little help. Okay, so like I said, oh, here's help. View help. I don't know if this has. version obviously doesn't help in it. So anyway, I don't know how to check the spelling in here. So let's see. So check your spelling the best you can. If you guys can figure out how to do the check spelling, I'm not even sure how to do that. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Breakfast Inn is one of the few surviving resident lighthouses in the country and is listed. Okay, so make sure that that's all correct. Let's see, about address required, and then go back. Once you've done that, go back and check it again. Make sure that it's accurate. And then now it shouldn't have that that error showing up when we do it. It shouldn't show the error unless we have an error. So, and now you can see the error's not showing up, but we need to test and make sure the error doesn't show unless we make an invalid selection. Bob@bob.com, check evergreen, stay there for 4 nights, and we don't have a valid selection, so submit. Select a valid date and then click submit. So that's good. So let's select the 10th because that's not valid. Submit, and then we still get the error. So and then select the 19th and then submit. Okay. So yeah. So now it's working. So that's all good. So once you've got that all done, you're good to go. And so same thing, file, and then you do save all, and then you just zip it and turn it in the same way as normal. And once you've got that, you're all done. That's all there is to it. So good luck. As you can see, making web pages in VB is really easy and lots of fun. So have a good time. Good luck, guys.